Who doesn't love a goals list? Hello everyone, welcome back to A Fictional Escapist. My name is Kris, and today's video is going to be all about those goals for 2025. I love watching these videos. I love when people make plans for what they're doing in the new year and things that they want to achieve. I love all that sort of stuff, and I also like creating it and making goals for myself. I am a list maker. I love a good list, love a good Excel spreadsheet, etc., and so forth. So this video is going to be broken into three parts: goals for reading, goals for writing, and just the community, which will encompass things like booktube and things like that, how I operate on this particular platform. Before we jump into that today, make sure you check in the description box down below for links to my social media and Discord should you want to come along for the ride. And we'll get to more on that Discord in a little bit. So in terms of reading, my goals are, I would say, they follow the line of people who have been on booktube for a while, in that my goal very much for this year is to focus on series completion, or at least getting up to date with some series. I don't think this is going to be the be all and end all. For me personally, I think that's an unrealistic goal. There's always new things coming out. I just put out a video about starting 12 new series with potentially adding a couple of more in there, but I do very much want to close out some series this year, because in 2024 I closed out a whopping 2 series. So the goal around that is to close out 10 series for the year. That is actually finishing series as opposed to being caught up to date with series. And I have quite a few that I've read, like particularly duologies, where I've read one book, or like in my reading plans and my new series I want to start. There's a lot of duologies in there, so I'm hoping to knock a few of those out in the year. But we'll see. Closing out 10 series is the main goal when it comes to completing things in the new year. Speaking of reading, I've also hit that point in my life, one where I don't have as much disposable income as I would love to go ahead and buy more books. But also, I have like 400 unread books on these shelves. And my Kindle, let's not even talk about it, because the last time I checked, those 467 unread books. I've done some Kindle shopping. There's been some indie sales that have happened since then, so it's very likely close to the 500 mark there. So the idea behind that is to read 80% of books from my own shelves, whether they be on my physical shelves or on my ebook shelves or in like Audible credits and things like that. I have very intentionally made my series list and my series continuation lists with things I already own, and I will be tracking that, and hopefully I'll do sort of like a mid-month check-in, a mid-year check-in for all of these goals, as well as all the series and standalones and things that I've put on my 2025 lists. In that, so reading 80% from my shelves, I also want to make sure my balance is where my values lie. Not saying there's anything wrong with traditionally published books at all, but I love indie. I want to promote indie. I am self-publishing a book myself in the year, which we'll get to in a minute. So I want to make sure that that balance is at least 50%, if not 60%. So I guess my goal, if I'm giving you a solid goal, is to read 60% indie reads, so indie and self-pub reads. That being said, my split between the series I want to start and series I want to continue is about 50-50. So I will accept 50%, but I would like to sort of push that into the 60% mark for reading indie for the year. Now, the way that I will look at my TBRs is going to change as well. So I do enjoy doing TBR videos, but I am moving more into mood reading. And so the goals that I have around creating TBRs, here are 5 books that I do plan on reading in the month, and then giving myself a little bit of wiggle room for mood reads. There might be things like carryovers that come in, and I'm not going to promise that every book I put on the TBR will get read, because it just hasn't been happening in the last few months here. So the way that I will structure my TBRs going forward on the channel is going to be 5 reads, and if there's any carryovers, they will also be in there as well. There's another point that I'll make on the carryovers in a second. But the way that I'm structuring TBRs in the new year is going to be one new book. So starting one of the series that I put on my list. So at least I start all 12 of those series. And then I'm going to be doing 2 series continuations. So they may not be from the list that I put out, but series continuations nonetheless, whether that's getting caught up with series or whether that is completing series. I would like to do 2 series continuation, and then I would like to do 2 review copies. So I went and I looked at every e-arc that I have received or every review request that I've received, and I have not done over the 3 years on BookTube, and I have a list of them. There are currently 24 in that list, which means if I do 2 a month for the year of 2025, I will be caught up. And that is the aim, is to be caught up before I can open myself to review copies. And then 2026 goal, sort of looking a little bit into the future, is going to really be focusing on review copies that come into Before We Go blog that may not have had a review or not many reviews or have been sitting there for a while, to be able to help out my team as much as I can. Now, when it comes to carryovers, when I started BookTube and when I started, I guess, not even on this platform, but I was on Bookstagram for about a year before I made the jump over to BookTube. I would always have to finish books at the end of the month, and I am giving myself permission to not have to finish things at the end of the month. If I have 30 pages of a book and I'm not feeling it on the last day of the month, I'm not going to force myself to read them. It'll be a carryover to the next month, and that's fine. I have felt so much more relaxed in doing that without having to have that time stamp pressure on myself to finish a book, to start completely fresh in the new month. I know it seems very silly, and I I'm sure other people do it as well, where they're like, I need a clean slate. I need to hustle to get these books in, but it was really taking away from my enjoyment of reading. Not that I wasn't enjoying reading, but I just felt that pressure, and without that pressure, reading's a lot more fun for me now. So, for example, I already have 2 books that I'm pretty sure is going to be carrying over into January, and that's fine. We'll just read them in January of 2025. Get a nice little boost on the first month of reading there. That's pretty much all the goals I have in terms of reading in particular. You'll see those series videos come out. So there'll be a series 1 that is coming out. It's already come out. Then you'll get a series continuations and standalones, and then whatever else I do, probably this video is what you're getting there. So we're going to move on to writing now. Now, I am in the middle of dev edits for my debut novel. It's called Alpha. I'm hoping to get this out in July of 2025. There is a very specific date that I want this released on. If it cannot be released on that date, I will be pushing it until September for another very specific date. The dates for these series are going to be in line with who it's dedicated to. They are important dates to the people that these books are dedicated to, and there are currently 3 books. Well, 3 in my head. 1 is being written, and I've got the plot points and a very loose prologue for book 2 sort of in the pipeline there. So my big goal when it comes to writing is to publish Alpha, and I'm working to get that done by July 18th is the date that I'm hoping that book will be out. My next writing goal is to finish the first draft of book number 2 in the Alpha cycle, which is called Brother. So I'm not a machine. I write very sporadically. I'm happy to do a video on my own sort of how I tackle writing as someone who works full time in people management and also runs BookTube, help run an editing company, what I'm doing. If that's something of interest, I can do that maybe at the end of this first book with lessons learned and things like that. So I am aiming to get the first draft done now. To put that into perspective, the first draft of Alpha, I aimed to be around 80,000 words. That is how long I wanted this book to be. It didn't happen that way. I gave the alpha reads out. It needed a lot of work. I sent it off to the dev editor at 97,000 words. It is currently 105,000, just over that, at midway through the dev edit. So I think this book will end up being about 110,000 words. Book 2 needs to be bigger. There's a lot more parts moving in book 2. Book 1's fairly simple in premise, and then book 2 we sort of ramp up with different multi-POVs. So the first book's 1 POV, book 2's 2 POVs, and there's just a lot more movement happening there. So I don't know what the first draft of that one will look like. I'm guessing it's going to be, the first draft will probably be around 90,000 words, if not 100,000 words. So I'll be jumping into seriously drafting that when the book 1 goes off to the copy editor. So there is that. There's also a novella series that I have in my head that I very loosely plotted out, which I would like to write the entire series and then basically release one novella every 2 months, and then at the end of the year have an omnibus physical edition of that collection. I don't know when that will be. I suspect that will be something that I write in between the books 2 and book 3 of this series, or do it while I'm waiting on dev edits and things, just so I can keep that writing habit up. So for 2025, I would like to plot that novella series just to see very loosely what is happening in each of these books. So there'll be a collection of 5 of these novellas. I have a concept, and I just need to sit down and plot it. So those are the writing goals for 2025. And the last one here I have is community. Now, I went hard with trying to build my own community, and I'm very grateful for the community that I have here. I love that my Discord is quite small. I love the people that comment on all these videos and getting to interact with you. That's fantastic. I don't have channel goals. I don't have subscriber goals. I am fairly unapologetic in how I run this channel, and that I make the videos that I want to, and I publish them when I want to. I talk about the books that I want to, and I'm not here to play the game. I'm not here to do skits. I'm not here to read what is popular. I I'm very like turned off by a hype train, to be completely honest. So I tend to read popular books like a couple of years later. It's very rare that I will gravitate towards a new release at the time of release, because I have such a backlog and I'm very interested in indie and self-pub. And a lot of the times those don't do great on the algorithm, which is fine. I don't care. I love the community that I've built, and the only goal in that is to continue to build that community and foster that community. Whether I get 0 more subscribers, but I get more people that are already subscribed interacting, that I get a couple more people over on the Discord to hang out, that is the end goal for me. I don't have numbers in my head that I want to strive to. I thought I needed to do that initially. I've let that go. I'm very happy with that decision. So you won't see me pushing content. I'm not interested in doing things like shorts. If I make them, it's because I legitimately want to make them. I'm not good. I'm not technologically advanced enough to learn a whole bunch of new stuff, and I'm happy. I'm happy with what I got. Enough ranting on that. I want to talk a little bit about the Discord, and I have mentioned this on a couple of other videos. The Discord is going to be my hangout zone. I'm taking reading sprints, writing sprints, and streaming. So I'm streaming games away from YouTube. This will be purely a BookTube space for BookTube viewers. I appreciate that's what people come here for. But if you do want to hang out in a very small sort of community zone, my Discord is where it's going to be. I will be hosting at least one reading sprint, one writing sprint, and a gaming stream per month. So you are more than welcome to come along to hang out with me in a more private setting. You can have cameras on, you can have voice. You don't have to at all. It can work very much like a Twitch in terms of the gaming stream, just me on the camera with a game playing, and you can chat in the chat with other people. It's worked quite well so far. I've only got a couple people jumping in, but it's really nice to have that small community there. So Discord is going to be the hangout zone. I'll be publishing the events and what I'll be doing every month here on the community tab if you're interested in coming along to any of that. That being said, if there are authors here who aren't part of my Discord and want to be, I do have a lockdown section for authors or people who are aspiring to be authors. Come and do some writing sprints with me. It's a bunch of fun. We get distracted by each other when we're in there, which is it just happens. And the last thing I'll say is I have a podcast with a really good friend of mine, Ryan. We do Genre Blender podcast together. These happen every fortnight, and I would like more of my attention to be put over there as like a side project to the passion. It is an extension of what I do here on BookTube, where we also incorporate things like film, television, theater, music, and gaming into what we talk about, what encompasses storytelling as a more holistic approach to the concept of storytelling as a whole. And we've got some cool ideas over there, but I would like to be more present. So having a small community split over 2 different areas is manageable for me. Those are really all the goals that I have for the year of 2025. Are we aligned in any of these? Do you want to chat about them? Let me know in the comments down below. If you like this content, give one of those. If you want to see more of it, click subscribe at your will. Thank you for coming along for the ride. I appreciate you all. I'll catch you in the next video. Ciao.